There was a rich girl in our dorm. She paid 500 yuan if you brought her food. 1. 0 if you took her place in class. And 2. 0 if you cleaned for her. My older sister was all high and mighty. She not only looked down on her, but also pulled me aside and said, "We may be poor, but we have dignity. We're not going to indulge her princess syndrome." But later, that same girl married her boss, who was 8 years older than her, and laughed at me for not understanding love. I, on the other hand, died alone in a cheap rental on New Year's Day, because I couldn't afford the 130 yuan surgery. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the first day of freshman year. In the group chat, the rich girl posted, "Whoever helps me move my luggage tomorrow gets 50 yuan. In the midst of silence, I quickly typed, "With a thunderous boom, your humble servant arrives." Seeing that message again in the dorm chat, "Whoever helps me move my luggage tomorrow gets 50 yuan," confirmed it. I was truly back to day one of college. No debt, no illness. I was healthy, and I had a second chance. Just then, a scornful voice came from the bunk below. "We're all freshmen. Who'd help her move her stuff? As if she actually has that kind of money. What a show-off." Then my twin sister popped her head out. "Right, Jennifer?" Meeting her condescending gaze, I tightened my grip on my phone. That's exactly how it went last time, too. At first, my sister didn't believe the rich girl had the money, so she didn't want to help her move and forbade me from helping either. But when the girl actually handed over 50 yuan to 2 girls who helped her, my sister got all sour and said, "So what if she's rich? It's not a big deal. We may be poor, but we've got backbone. We're not catering to her princess nonsense." For 4 years of college, my sister stayed in a cold war with the rich girl and made me promise not to help her either. But in the end, before graduation, she got together with a small time boss who was 8 years older than her. When I asked her why, she laughed and said, "It's not about money, I love him." Love, huh? She refused to spend a dime of his money. Instead, to seem worthy of him, she asked our parents for cash to buy designer bags and luxury goods. When the family funds dried up, our parents turned to me, "Jennifer, once your sister marries into money, we'll all be fine. For now, do your part. She'll help you out in the future." So I fell deep into debt, worked myself sick, and ended up with a body full of ailments before I was even old. After she married her boss like she'd wanted, I begged her for help with medical bills. She looked down at me and sneered, "That's my money. Why should I give it to you?" That arrogant look on her face before I died, it was the same one I saw now. I took a deep breath and looked away. Then I typed quickly into the dorm group chat, "With a thunderous boom, your humble servant arrives. What time tomorrow, princess?" The moment I hit send, my sister's phone dinged with the notification. She glanced at it, and the smug look on her face dropped instantly. "Jennifer, seriously? You actually believe she'll give you 5,000? I twirled my phone and said, "Better to believe than not. Besides, helping a roommate isn't exactly a loss." She crossed her arms and stared at me disapprovingly. "We only get 20 a month to live on, and you think she'll give 50 just to move some luggage? Dream on. Look at the way she talks total princess syndrome. If you spoil her now, she'll latch onto you for everything later." I didn't feel like arguing. I lay back down, pulled the curtain shut, and said calmly, "We'll see when the time comes." My attitude clearly pissed her off. She glared at me and snapped, "Don't pretend you're not doing this for the money. I'll be watching to see if she really pays you. If you end up working for nothing, don't come crying to me." I smirked. Last time, when my sister saw the girl actually hand over 50, she was so jealous she practically ground her teeth into dust. And even though she kept preaching about dignity, she still ended up helping other classmates with classes and deliveries. The rich girl found out and laughed at her. She's only acting all tough now because she thinks it's a scam. But I know the truth. Kristen is the only daughter of the wealthy Cindy family in Shanghai. Her parents died in a car accident and left her a massive inheritance and insurance payout, more money than she could spend in a lifetime. Not long after I replied in the group chat, Kristen added me on WeChat. "This is Kristen Cindy," she said. I quickly replied, "Jennifer Delaney here." A second later, she transferred me 20 yuan. "In case you think I'm bluffing, here's a deposit. I'll wait for you downstairs at 10 tomorrow morning. My eyes lit up. I replied right away. You got it. So this is what it feels like to get paid. Feels amazing. This time around, I'm sticking close to the rich girl. At 9:30 the next morning, I got up to meet her. Jessica was still asleep. Hearing me washing up, she pulled her curtain open and poked her head out. Wait, Jennifer, you've completely lost it. You're really gonna help that princess with her luggage? I nodded. I already promised her last night. Jessica was grumpy in the mornings. She snapped, You must be desperate for money. I looked at her calmly and said, If you're not desperate, then how about paying back the 500 you owe me? I've only got a little over 800 left after buying supplies this month. Her anger vanished in an instant. She pouted and said, We're sisters. What's wrong with borrowing a little? Just tighten your belt for a bit. Mom and Dad will send more next month. Jennifer, you're so kind to strangers. Why are you so stingy with your own sister? It's not like you're starving or freezing. Why do you need that much money? I didn't bother arguing. I just repeated, If you're not stingy, then give me back my money. It's mine, and how I use it is none of your business. Money, money, money. You're obsessed. I can't believe how materialistic you've become. Jessica shouted and yanked her curtain closed, cutting off the conversation. I stared at the curtain for a moment, then turned and opened her wardrobe. We'd been sisters for 18 years. I knew her too well. She had a habit of taking small amounts of cash from home, 10 or 20 at a time, just enough that our parents wouldn't notice. She always hid the money in the inner pocket of her little crossbody bag. I counted out 500 yuan and tucked it into my own pocket. Then I opened the dorm door and headed downstairs. We lived on the 5th floor. Kristen was already there, standing in the stairwell, fanning herself. Kristen, I'm Jennifer, the one who said I'd help you move your luggage. Without even looking at me, she nodded and pointed at the mountain of suitcases behind her. Great, you're here. That's all my stuff. Help me carry it upstairs, would you? Honestly, the dorm manager is ridiculous. She won't let my housekeeper up, so I had to find someone last minute. Kristen had a mountain of luggage. I had to go up and down 6 times to get it all moved. Hangzhou in September was scorching hot, and by the time I got back to the dorm, it was nearly 11. I'd been working non-stop for over an hour. Just as I sat down to turn on the AC, Jessica snatched the remote from my hand. She glanced at the glamorous Kristen, who didn't have a drop of sweat on her face, then looked at me, flushed and panting like a dog. She let out a mocking laugh. You've been slaving away for so long and didn't even get a bottle of water, let alone 5,000 yuan. Feeling stupid now, Jennifer? I glanced at Kristen. She was still checking out the dorm, currently poking around the bathroom, oblivious to what was going on over here. I couldn't be bothered with Jessica. I reached for the remote. Turn on the AC. I'm dying. No way. We haven't even paid for the electricity yet, and I'm not hot. Why should I split the bill with you? You expect me to pitch in? I sighed. I'll cover the extra 10 yuan, okay? Jessica snorted. You wouldn't listen when I warned you. And now you're complaining about the heat? You ran around like a dog for an hour. And what did you get? Not even 5 yuan for electricity. And you really believed that Princess was gonna give you 5,000? As soon as she finished talking, Kristen finally walked over after finishing her tour. She glanced at Jessica holding the AC remote, then looked at me, red-faced and drenched in sweat, and frowned. She's clearly overheating. Can't you see that? Why are you hogging the remote instead of turning on the air? Jessica rolled her eyes. She's hot, not me. And isn't it your fault she looks like that? Why are you pointing fingers at me? It's 38 degrees outside. Anyone would be hot. Give me the remote. Why should I? The AC costs at least $10 a day. You paying for that? $10? I thought it'd be more. Kristen gave a cold laugh. She saw Jessica was being deliberately difficult and didn't bother arguing. She pulled up the campus payment system. A minute later, all our phones lit up with a notification. Room 505 electricity account credited, 5,000. 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed with a transfer message. Kristen has sent you 5,000. I stood up in shock. Kristen, you already gave me 2,000 last night. Another 3,000 is enough. Kristen, standing a full head taller than Jessica, used the moment she froze to snatch the remote from her hand. She arched a smug eyebrow. The extras for your hard work. I don't feel like going out. If you head to the cafeteria later, grab me some spicy chicken stir-fried noodles. That wave of money hit Jessica like a brick wall. She stood there stunned, blinking hard at the recharge notification, then stared daggers at me as I accepted the money. Her face looked like she'd swallowed a bug. I didn't care how she felt. I accepted the payment with joy, and the fatigue and heat evaporated. I bounced to my feet and said cheerfully, "You got it, Kristen. The spicy noodles from Cafeteria 3 are the best. I'll go get them for you." I had barely stepped out of the dorm when Jessica caught up to me. She walked alongside me, asking over and over, "Wait, she really gave you 5,000?" Without looking at her, I replied, 7. Jessica's eyes turned red. She grabbed my arm. "Jennifer, how could you take that money? Give it back to her right now." I looked at her, puzzled. Why wouldn't I take it? I earned it. When I was running around all morning, weren't you the one doubting she even had that kind of money? Jessica sneered. With 8,000, she could hire any worker she wanted. Why would she pick you? Something's off. Who knows where that money came from? It might be dirty. And you're still willing to take it? Return it. I stared at Jessica without a flicker of emotion. Her words sounded caring, but her eyes were calculating. In my previous life, maybe I would have believed her. Our parents always favored Jessica and taught me to listen to her. She was always the dominant one, and I got used to trailing behind. But everything from that lifetime taught me one thing: neither my sister nor my parents were reliable. Not all family members truly love you. People are selfish by nature. The only thing you can really count on is money. You're overthinking it. I shrugged off Jessica's hand. Didn't you see what she wears and uses? All designer brands. Don't be so quick to judge people. Besides, cash in hand beats empty words. At least I won't have to stress about food this month. Isn't that what matters? With that, I popped open my umbrella and walked off. Jessica stomped her foot and yelled after me, "Jennifer, I can't believe how money-hungry you are. Losing yourself over some pocket change. Just wait one day, it'll come back to bite you." My only reply was the sound of my brisk footsteps. By afternoon, all our roommates had arrived. Emily was the last one. Her family was poor. As soon as she got in, she pulled out several big bags from her suitcase and handed them out. "These are homemade sausages from my mom. I hope you all don't mind." Kristen was still eating her spicy chicken noodles and didn't even look up. "Just leave them there. I'll pay you after I finish eating." That was typical Kristen. Spoiled since birth, she rarely said thank you. Her way of avoiding owing anyone was to throw money at them. Emily's smile froze for a second, then she quickly waved her hands. No, it's not about money, I just wanted to share." Kristen. "Oh." Her eyes stayed glued to the variety show on her iPad. She probably hadn't heard a word Emily said. Emily stood there awkwardly. I was just about to smooth things over with a few words when Jessica stepped in, smiling brightly as she took the sausages from Emily's hands. "Wow, are these local specialties? I've seen them online, supposed to be super spicy and delicious. Your mom's amazing. Please thank her for me." Emily was instantly touched, looking like she'd just found a long-lost sister. The two of them hit it off right away. Then Jessica suddenly changed the subject and shot Kristen a glare. "Some people have no manners. Just because they've got money, they think they can stomp all over other people's kindness. If it were me, I wouldn't trade my mom's handmade sausages for any amount of money." Kristen responded with a burst of loud laughter while watching her show. Jessica fumed, rolled her eyes, and was about to curse her out. I spoke up calmly. Kristen didn't mean anything by it. Seeing me side with Kristen, Jessica immediately turned on me. "Of course you'd say that you took her money." "Jennifer, I never realized you had such a talent for bootlicking." Emily looked panicked, caught in the middle of what seemed like a brewing fight. Just then, Kristen finished her noodles. As she was tidying up the table, she noticed the sausages. "Ooh?" She turned to Emily. "You're Emily, right? I just added you." Emily, flustered, quickly accepted her friend request. The next second, Kristen sent her 1,000 yuan. "These sausages smell amazing. If your family has more, send some to my villa. I want my housekeepers to try them too. Seriously? She was being nice giving you one, and now you're asking for more? Aren't you the rich one? Buy it yourself if you want more. Jessica cut in quickly, trying to pull Emily to her side. Kristen looked up, annoyed. Did I say I wasn't buying? So, is there more? Emily ignored Jessica and lit up with excitement. Yes, yes. My mom sells sausage for a living. Her mom made sausage every year to sell. But last year was rough. People working away from home didn't earn much, and no one bought sausage. Half their stock didn't sell. Her parents were so worried they turned gray and couldn't sleep. Now, finally, there was hope. I'll take them all. I'll cover shipping. I sent the address to your phone, Kristen said as she tossed her empty takeout box into the trash and climbed into bed. I'm taking a nap. Whoever that is, don't let me hear another word out of you. Jessica stood there speechless, glaring hard at Emily and the 1,000 yuan that had just hit her phone. Her eyes turned red again with rage. After that, Jessica decided to freeze us out. She stopped inviting me to class or meals, and instead started hanging out with a poor girl from the dorm next door. One day, that girl found out Jessica and I were sisters and asked, puzzled, "Why don't you hang out with your sister?" Jessica snorted and raised her voice on purpose so I'd hear, "She's too busy climbing the social ladder to recognize me anymore. Some people only care about money. What can I do?" "I can't stoop to her level, can I?" The other girl whispered. "Really? That's wild. We're all just students." Just as she said that, Kristen stormed into the room with a scowl. "This elective is messed up. I thought it was just some health class I could skip by having someone watch the videos for me. Who knew you actually have to show up and do Badoanjin exercises? Insane." I was doing homework when I instinctively straightened up. Sure enough, a second later, Kristen crossed her arms and looked around the dorm. "Anyone want to take this class for me? 1,000 per session. I think there are 20 total." Before she even finished, I was already by her side like a gust of wind. "Kristen, I'm in. I love Badoanjin. I'll get you an A for sure." Kristen laughed. "You again? Why are you always so eager?" In just over a month, I'd fetched her food, signed her in for classes, even cleaned a little here and there. I'd gotten to know her tastes like the back of my hand. Sometimes, even if she didn't say anything, if I saw her napping and missing meals, I'd grab food for her anyway. And Kristen never shortchanged me. She paid generously every time. In just 1 month, I'd saved nearly 20,000 yuan thanks to her. Jessica thought Kristen was mocking me and scoffed. Of course she's eager. Poor people have no pride. That's just how it is. Jessica had been mocking Kristen all month, but Kristen couldn't be bothered to respond. She turned to me and asked, "Are you really that poor?" I scratched my fingers. "Not that bad," Kristen asked. "How much do you get a month?" I answered honestly, 2,000. Kristen immediately frowned. "You trying to survive in the wild?" I was about to explain that for a college student, 2,000 was plenty, but she just transferred me 10,000 yuan. "Okay then, you're covering my class. That's 10 sessions in advance. I'll send the rest when the course is over." "You got it, Kristen." Jessica's eyes turned bloodshot at the sight, her face drained of color. She pointed at me and said to the girl from the other dorm, "See that? Disgusting how money-hungry she looks. Makes me sick." But the other girl looked awestruck. "Wait, I thought it'd be like a few dozen yuan. She's giving that much? I wish she'd pay me to take her classes." Jessica's face turned red with humiliation. She stormed off, yelling, "You're all disgusting," and didn't come back until almost midnight. Emily got worried and pulled me along to look for her. We'd just stepped out of the dorm when we spotted her sitting on a bench outside, talking with a skinny guy in glasses. Emily frowned. "Isn't that Tony from our department?" As soon as she said his name, I remembered. Tony came from a poor family and lived off financial aid all year. In my last life, he relentlessly chased a rich, quiet girl from Hangzhou, and he actually got her. I knew because the girl got pregnant before marriage, had to take a break from school to have the baby, and it caused a huge scandal. They eventually married, and when I saw her at the graduation reunion, she looked like she'd aged 10 years. Emily and I exchanged glances and walked over. Jessica and Tony were deep in conversation and didn't notice us. I mean, I want to go back to the dorm, but just thinking about their faces makes me sick. I've known Jennifer for years. How did I not see she was so shallow? She doesn't even recognize me as her sister anymore. Tony adjusted his glasses. She's just blinded by money. If she can betray her own sister over cash, karma will get her. Anyone who values money over everything isn't worth your tears. Jessica looked like she'd found her soulmate. Exactly. I was just trying to help her. You're the only one who understands me. Tony placed his hand behind her and gave a soft smile. I used to think the same way until I met you. I realized girls like you, who are above it all, are so rare. You're nothing like those gold diggers. What gold diggers? I cut in, deadpan, ending their little moment. Jessica jumped in shock and stood up, pointing at me. Jennifer, you've got some nerve, eavesdropping on us like that. I crossed my arms. You're sitting out here in public. Kind of hard not to overhear. Then I turned to Tony. Flirt all you want, but don't label us gold diggers. Let's be real, you're just broke. If you had money, you'd love it if every woman chased you for it. Tony's face flushed and turned green. His lips trembled for a bit before he managed. You think everyone's like you? Jennifer, I used to think you were a pretty girl, but now I see how filthy you are inside. You're not even worth your sister's pinky toe. I let out a cold laugh. He's not filthy? Then how did he end up leeching off someone else's family in my last life? Just like Jessica, self-righteous phonies. That's when it all clicked. His words praised one while putting the other down. I also noticed the way Jessica, though pissed, had a shy smile on her face. It all made sense. Jessica and I each got 2,000 yuan a month. And while we weren't rich, our family had 2 apartments in Hangzhou and a small Benz. Annual income? 2 or 300,000. And we were the only 2 daughters. That's exactly the kind of setup Tony preyed on in my last life. That evening, the dorm manager was urging everyone back before lockup, and Jessica and I returned one after the other. That night, she and Tony texted nonstop until 3 a.m. Jessica made their relationship extremely public. Why do I say that? Because every time they talked on the phone in the dorm, she'd put him on speaker. We could all hear Tony's syrupy voice. Jennifer may be pretty, but she's got no backbone. Kristen's just a spoiled princess, totally unmanageable. Emily's not even worth mentioning. You, though, Ching Ching, you're the most amazing girl I've ever met. Kristen had headphones on, gaming, and didn't hear a thing. I knew exactly what kind of person Tony was, so I just waited for the drama to unfold. Emily always turned bright red with anger, but was too soft to argue with Jessica. The semester flew by, and after finals, I went home with over 30,000 yuan in my pocket. Jessica had gotten back earlier and was chatting with Mom in the kitchen. When she heard me arrive, she said, "Why didn't Jennifer come home with her sister?" Jessica rolled her eyes dramatically. "Mom, I'm not good enough to be her sister anymore. She's been busy playing servant at school, doesn't even recognize me as family." Mom frowned. "What happened?" Jessica launched into an animated story, painting a vivid picture of me bowing and scraping around Kristen, sweet-talking and spineless. My parents were both intellectuals, proud and principled. After hearing Jessica, they were immediately displeased. "Jennifer, this is unacceptable. We've never treated you badly. Why would you lower yourself at school like that? Acting like we don't give you enough money?" I dragged in my overstuffed luggage, utterly exhausted. I was so tired I didn't even want to lift a finger. In the past, I might have tried to explain patiently, but after everything they'd done in my previous life, I just shook my head expressionlessly. "I'm going to rest. Call me when dinner's ready." My attitude clearly pissed them off. Maybe Jessica stirred the pot, or maybe they'd already decided to teach me a lesson. Either way, they didn't call me for dinner. When I woke up, it was already dark. They'd had dumplings, and Mom always made them by count. None were saved for me. Jessica leaned smugly in the kitchen doorway, sneering. "Weren't you all tough and independent at school? Back home, and you can't even get a meal. Jennifer, if you're gonna disgrace the family like this, don't expect me to go easy on you." I ignored her and turned back to my room. Half an hour later, a fragrant delivery of barbecue and fried rice arrived. When I was hungry earlier, digging through the kitchen, my parents hadn't appeared. But now, as I quietly picked up my takeout, they burst out of their room. Didn't we tell you takeout's unhealthy? Jennifer, you're getting more disobedient by the day. I kept a straight face. You didn't save me dinner and now I'm not allowed to order food? What, are you trying to starve me? Mom snapped. How can you say that? You gave us attitude first, and now we're supposed to coddle you? All we said was, don't act like a servant, have some dignity. Was that so wrong? Dad nodded. Jennifer, you never used to be like this. Money's clouding your judgment. Hand it over. What does a kid like you need so much cash for? Jessica crossed her arms and chimed in smugly. Exactly. Money's going to your head. Now you won't even listen to Mom and Dad. Just hand it over. I stared at them. They claimed it was all for my own good, but in my past life, when I was dying and desperately needed money for treatment, where were they then? My grip tightened around the takeout bag, veins bulging on the back of my hand. I earned this money. Why should I give it to you? Because we're your parents. Then maybe I don't need parents like you. Their faces changed instantly. What did you just say? You've gone too far, Jennifer. Saying something like that, you'd better get out of this house. As far as we're concerned, we don't have a daughter anymore. Furious, they pointed at me and shouted. I let out a cold laugh, grabbed my takeout, and walked out without looking back. The winter night wind was biting. I sat by the roadside and finished my meal. If this were the past, maybe I'd have gotten sentimental and gone back to apologize. My parents probably thought I'd suffer a little outside and come crawling back. But now, without hesitation, I booked a hotel room $300 a night, full amenities. Having money felt amazing. I sat on the hotel bed thinking about my next steps. I didn't want to go back home. First, I'd need to rent a place. I was majoring in design, so during the break I could take freelance jobs. And back at school, I could keep running errands for Kristen. One way or another, I'd survive. In my past life, I spent over $10,000 a month just to help Jessica keep up her rich girl act. That was way tougher than this. My phone rang. It was already 10 p.m. Who even makes calls this late? I checked the screen. Of course, it was Kristen. What's up, Kristen? Did you make it home? Just got in. I'll pay you $10,000 a day. Come hang out with me for a bit. Kristen booked me a late-night flight to Shanghai. And early the next morning, I arrived at her villa looking fresh and rested. She didn't ask why I wasn't spending the holiday with my family. In her world, everyone revolved around her. After all, the people who tried to please her had never let the new year stop them. Across both lives, this was my first time at her house, and it was even more extravagant than I imagined. It looked like a palace. Kristen lay on the couch in cotton pajamas, without a trace of rich girl pretension. I joked, "Your humble servant has arrived, my lady." She waved casually. Go get me some milk." 3 minutes later, I handed her the glass. She took a few sips and nodded. You really know how to do things right. If Jessica had been here, she'd have gone ballistic, saying I had no dignity. But I just smiled and said, "It's my honor, ma'am." Kristen gave me a sideways glance. "Jennifer, you watch too many dramas." I stayed at Kristen's for 10 days. She had so many servants that there was no work left for me. My daily job was just to eat, hang out, binge shows and novels, and gossip with her. Basically, I was a paid companion. I used to wonder someone like her shouldn't be lacking friends. And her crowd should be other rich girls, people she had more in common with. But seeing her in pajamas, eating chips, sprawled on the couch, laughing like crazy at a variety show, I swallowed my doubts. Who cares, anyway? I had food, drink, and a palace to live in. The day before New Year's Eve, she got a phone call and suddenly remembered it was almost the holiday. She turned to me and asked, "Aren't you going home for New Year's? Some of our staff usually take 3 days off this time of year. I can pay you a bonus based on their rate." I waved it off and said, "Not going home. Got into a fight with my family." Kristen perked up. "Oh, what happened?" I told her a few select bits about my grievances, both from this life and the last. She rubbed her chin but didn't show any sympathy. "I don't think you need to overthink it," she said. "Some parents don't have kids to raise them right. My parents never cared about me, not because of work, but because they genuinely couldn't be bothered. So I never had feelings for them. Love, whether family or romantic, once you get strong enough, you'll find people lining up to care for you. As for me, cheesy emotions are less fulfilling than binging a good drama or variety show. I stared at her in shock. Kristen, were you trying to comfort me just now? She patted me. Just trying to make you feel less guilty about hanging out with me. That bluntness made me finally ask what had been bothering me. I mean, if you wanted company, wouldn't your rich girlfriends be a better fit? Kristen waved dismissively. I grew up with my grandpa. I only moved to Shanghai after my parents died. Back then, I did try hanging out with them, but they don't eat spicy snacks, and they don't watch Who's the Murderer. That's when I knew we weren't on the same wavelength. I looked at her with pity. Kristen, I didn't know you had it so rough. You must have gone through a lot growing up. She brushed it off. It wasn't that bad. My grandpa used to rank third on the Beijing rich list he just recently climbed to first. Life wasn't as easy as it is now, but it was still good. Turns out I was the clown. I didn't go home the whole winter break. My parents called twice first to scold me. Second, I ignored. After that, they gave up. I wasn't worried about them doing anything. They prided themselves on being decent people. If I didn't respond, they'd just call me ungrateful behind my back, nothing more. When school started again, Kristen even generously booked me a business class seat. Jessica had arrived early. When she saw us together, she sneered. So that's why you didn't go home. You've latched onto a golden thigh. Jennifer, you'd even abandon your family for money. Do you know how disappointed Mom and Dad are in you? I glanced at my bank balance. If Jessica knew I made over 200 yuan over the break, she'd probably puke blood. After that vacation, Kristen and I grew even closer, and her generosity grew with it. By the end of the second semester, I had 300 in savings. Kristen went on a nationwide vacation for summer and didn't take me along. I had to work. I couldn't just live off her forever. The day winter break started, the usually sharp-tongued Jessica didn't come back to the dorm. I was almost packed and ready to go when she suddenly called. Jennifer, I'm at the gynecology hospital. Come quickly. I frowned, already feeling something was up. Driven by curiosity, I went. The hallway was packed, and there she was, Jessica, screaming at Tony. Didn't you say you took precautions? How am I still pregnant? I don't care. I'm not keeping this baby. Give me the money for the abortion. Tony held her hand and pleaded softly, but in his eyes I saw calculation and deceit. Jessica, I really love you. I was so happy when I found out about the baby. Let's keep it. I'll marry you, I promise. Jessica yanked her hand back without hesitation. Marry me? With what? Your family's broke and from another province. My parents would never approve. Besides, we're only 20. You think we're ready to raise a kid? Stop dreaming. Just give me the money for the abortion. Jessica wasn't the naive girl Tony tricked in my last life. She might act high and mighty, but she wasn't stupid. Tony's face darkened. So you're looking down on me because I'm poor? Jessica didn't hold back anymore. Isn't it obvious? If you had money, would you even be dating me? Tony's tender expression vanished, his voice filled with fury. Jessica, I thought you were kind and pure. Turns out you're just another gold digger. You wait someday, I'll be rich and successful, and even if you beg, I won't look at you again. He turned to storm off, but Jessica grabbed him. Give me the money for the abortion. A woman like you doesn't deserve a dime from me. Tony shouted before striding away. Like if he didn't run fast enough, he'd actually have to pay. I stayed silent, calmly recording the entire scene on my phone. Jessica turned, spotted me, and brightened. Jennifer, perfect timing. You heard everything, right? The abortion costs over 6,000. Quick, give me the money. I looked at her, amused. Why would I do that? She said it like it was obvious. You've been licking that princess's boots for so long. You must have money. This is an emergency. I don't have time for your attitude. Just give me the money. I shook my head. I'm not paying for your mistakes. She froze, then her expression twisted with resentment. Jennifer, you've made a fortune, haven't you? And you won't even spare 6,000? I'm your sister. I sneered. While I was busting my ass all year, did you ever think about me? Fine. I'm done talking. Either give me the money or we're finished. From now on, I won't care about anything that happens to you. I smiled. Sounds good to me. My calm refusal pushed her over the edge. She screamed, Jennifer, you've sold your soul for money. Karma's coming for you, you'll regret this. Oh, well, at least I have money. Unlike you, I gave her a cold once-over, turned, and walked away without hesitation. On the way out, I sent the video I'd recorded to our advisor and my parents. It didn't take long before Jessica's withdrawal from school became a huge scandal. I hadn't told anyone else, but gossip spreads fast. It didn't take long for people to piece the whole story together. I saw Jessica coming back from the OBGYN once she looked totally drained. Then she went to Tony's dorm and started screaming, demanding money. Everyone knew they were dating. With that kind of fight, definitely about an abortion gone wrong. Yeah, I was at school the day she filed for leave. I saw her parents slap her in public, shouting stuff like you've disgraced us and we don't have a daughter like you. No idea what happened to Tony after that. Well, it was consensual. If he's dead set on denying it, what can anyone do? What followed were a barrage of phone calls from my parents. The moment I picked up, they tore into me. Jennifer, you're absolutely vicious. How could you send that video to the teacher? Now look what you've done. How is your sister supposed to stay in school? You must come home and apologize to her. She's severely depressed because of this. And just had an abortion, her body is extremely weak. You must hand over all your money to compensate her and come home to take care of her, or we'll consider you no longer our daughter. I held the phone in silence, never hanging up. Listening to their venom, I suddenly felt a wave of relief. I chuckled lightly. Fine. Then let's consider me no longer your daughter. I hung up and blocked them without hesitation. Looking out at the clear sky, I felt freer than ever. With no way to contact me, my parents turned their rage on Tony. Obsessed with saving face, they eventually called the police. What kind of deal they struck behind the scenes, I didn't know. I only knew that not long after, Tony dropped out and vanished completely. I had a peaceful time at school until junior year started. That's when I saw Jessica again. She stepped out of a BMW, looking radiant in designer clothes and bags, not a trace of hardship on her face. Behind her stood a middle-aged man, bald and pot-bellied. Their intimate body language made their relationship obvious. I was on welcoming duty at the school gate and saw them right away. The moment I saw the man's face, my hand clenched on instinct. In my past life, this same man had tried to rape me while drunk not long after marrying Jessica. When I fought back, he claimed I was the one who seduced him. Jessica slapped me when she found out, and my parents cursed me as shameless. I died alone on New Year's Eve, rejected by them all. Just then, Kristen, who was helping with orientation, leaned over playfully. What are you looking at? You've got murder in your eyes like you just saw your archenemy. Jessica spotted us and strutted over smugly. Jennifer, long time no see. Still playing lapdog for someone? I pressed my lips together, feeling cold all over. Kristen, quicker on the draw, scoffed. Wow, your taste really went downhill while you were gone. Jessica's face stiffened. What nonsense are you spouting? He may not be rich like you, but he's caring. At least he doesn't humiliate people like you do. What we have is real love. Kristen, oh, congrats, I guess. The man, meanwhile, eyed us with interest. Jessica, are these your classmates? Jessica replied in disgust. Don't be fooled by their polished looks. They're both gold diggers, totally disgusting. The old man nodded thoughtfully. Not long after, he somehow got a hold of our contact info and messaged us. Wanna be with me? I'll pay you $50,000 a month. Kristen had never received a message like that before. Disgusted, she immediately called her assistant. I don't think that little company of his needs to exist anymore. Find a way to sink it. Damn, Kristen was savage. Sure enough, the man's company soon faced a bankruptcy crisis. I thought Jessica would come crawling to me, begging for money to save her so-called true love. In our past life, she'd pushed our parents to shamelessly ask me for money countless times. But this time, she broke up with him soon after and started promoting a new persona, only child from a prestigious Hangzhou family, to attract well-off guys. Her clothes and accessories were still all designer. Just as I was wondering where she got the money, one afternoon, right after class, I saw a crowd gathered at the school gate. I hadn't even gotten close when I heard Jessica shrieking, "Your bankruptcy isn't my problem. I didn't ruin you. All those bags and jewelry were gifts, why should I return them?" The old man screamed back hysterically, "If it weren't for you, I never would have crossed the Cindy family. You have to pay for all my losses, or I swear I'll kill you." Jessica sneered, "Psycho. Look at you now. Get lost. If you come near me again, I'm calling the cops." No sooner had she said that than the man pulled out a knife and stabbed at her without hesitation. Screams erupted. The crowd scattered. Soon, the police arrived and took the lunatic away. Jessica was rushed to the hospital. A few days later, our parents came to campus to process her withdrawal paperwork. That day, they actually came to see me for the first time. Seeing how well I was doing, they looked utterly drained. "Jennifer, you've been rebellious long enough. It's time to come home. Your sister may have been foolish, but we still have you. Please, don't be like this anymore." I looked at their weary faces and slowly shook my head. After that, they never came to find me again. The next time I heard about Jessica, it was that she'd been diagnosed with cervical cancer. Years of abortions and promiscuity had wrecked her body. Meanwhile, I was using Kristen's generous bonuses and my side hustle income to prepare for graduation. Kristen asked me, "Are you still planning on applying for grad school?" I thought for a moment and shook my head. "I'll just find a job. With my current savings, as long as I don't get married, a steady job's enough for me to live comfortably." Kristen smiled. "Perfect. I don't plan to marry either. With my net worth, the only options are business alliances or gold diggers. So boring. When I get tired of everything, I'll just keep a few cute boy toys. Anyway, you should come work for me after graduation. I'll handle your salary. Just be on call when I need you." I was overjoyed. "Really, Kristen?